It's Gunners post-mortem this morning because yesterday, more League Cup heartache, I'm afraid, and it was live on talkSPORT. Delighted to say that joining us now is a man who promised us in this very show that Arsenal would not only win the quadruple but would also have the league wrapped up by his, it says 71st birthday here now. That might be taking a liberty in 7 days. It's the world's most vocal Arsenal fan, Piers Morgan. Good morning, Piers, or is it a good morning, my friend?
Good morning, Piers.
Can I just say that when your brilliant team, well, good morning first of all, Ali, and particularly of course to Ray and Emmanuel, two great heroes of mine. When I agreed to do this interview, obviously I did so in the overconfident expectation that I would be regaling your listeners, and indeed the three of you, with my joyous recounting of Arsenal's triumphant victory. So to say that when I woke up this morning and suddenly remembered what I had to do was one of the worst moments of my life is the understatement of the millennium. But anyway, good morning to you.
Listen, we do appreciate at least it wasn't a no-show, Piers. It wasn't a no-show.
No, I didn't pull an Adam Brazil.
No, there was no slight strain in the hamstring from you this morning, to be fair. Where did it go wrong?
Well, we didn't turn up, did we? Yeah. And there is an issue here. I mean, look, I've been listening this morning. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that the difference between Arteta and Guardiola, I think, was laid bare a little bit yesterday with this decision about the goalkeeper. Because when Arteta came to Arsenal, he said the one thing he'd really learned from Pep was you've got to be ruthless if you want to win things. And the truth is, the ruthless decision would have been to have played Raya, who is right now arguably the best goalkeeper in the world in sensational form. And you would do that in a heartbeat if you're a ruthless manager. And I saw Arteta's justification for it, and I was like, okay, fine. There's a bit of sentiment in there, and I understand it, and it may make you popular with Kepa and with the other players. They may appreciate that, but no one in the end is going to appreciate losing a final because you played your second string goalkeeper. And I just think you've got to play your best 11 when you get to a final if you're a team like Arsenal, particularly if you haven't won a trophy in many years as we haven't. Secondly, there's an issue with Arsenal when we play the bigger clubs, is that I do think we set up to not lose rather than to try and win the game. I felt this very strongly at the start of the season in the league when we went to Liverpool, and they were there for the taking, as we now know, because they played pretty poorly all season. And we just played to defend and not lose that match. And as a consequence, we lost. And I just watched it yesterday. I was there, and I watched this, and I thought the first half we were, it was a pretty dull first half, but we were competitive. We probably even slightly edged it. But in the second half, City came out like a steam train, and we had absolutely no response to it. I mean, we just literally rolled over. And I thought particularly their attacking play just consumed us compared to what we were doing to them at the front. I mean, our attacking players basically went missing, and I think that was the problem.
Well, Piers, I look at it in that second half, and I just want to see a bit more. Look, we know they're quality players, everybody, but I just want to see. They haven't won a trophy. This would be their first trophy they've won. Yeah. I mean, Man City have won numerous of trophies. You've got Rodri, Bernardo Silva. Their trophy cabinet's full up.
There's a general feeling in here.
I want to see a little bit more desire. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. This is our first trophy.
General feeling in here between the three of us that Arsenal didn't do enough to go and win it.
No, 100%. I mean, also, I just think that we've got to have some difficult conversations at the moment. I mean, I think Saka looks exhausted to me. Yeah. And that's not just an issue for Arsenal. It's an issue for England with the World Cup. I don't know why he didn't start Madueke instead of Saka, because Madueke was rested early in the week. I also don't know why he didn't bring on Dalman, who completely transformed a game for us in the last week, and winning it almost on his own. Dalman sitting there and then running up and down the touchline. Just bringing him on would have ignited the Arsenal fans, would have ignited the team. And there was none of that. And instead, it just looked like Arteta. I'm a massive fan of Arteta now. I think he's been brilliant for Arsenal. But we've got to start winning things. And we're not going to get a better chance than this season. And the first real test we had against a City team that is, all right, they're slightly revived, but they're not one of the great City teams by any means. And yet they came out, whatever Guardiola said to them in half-time, clearly galvanised them better than what Arteta said to our team. And I just felt he suddenly ran out of ideas, Arteta. And, I think most Arsenal fans, we all trudged out afterwards all thinking the same thing, is that we just didn't turn up.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well,
I still think, though, Piers, look, I mean, we're all disappointed this morning if you're an Arsenal fan, but there's still so much to play for. It still could be a fantastic season for Arsenal, so you still got to get behind it.
well, listen.
I know, 100%.
Well, there's the next question, Piers.
they're going to win the.
My next question to you would be this: the disappointment of yesterday. Can that manifest and give you a serious problem moving forward?
Well, I can, but I look, I've said for a number of years that I didn't think the League Cup was worth bothering about, because in recent years, most of the big clubs have not fielded their strongest teams. And there's an irony about that, given the team we put out yesterday with our reserve goalkeeper. That's the kind of thing teams like Arsenal and City and Liverpool and others used to do a lot. They used to field, pretty substandard teams and rest most of the first 11. That's changed a bit, and so the League Cup's become more meaningful, I think, as a trophy to win. But we've got to. I mean, look, Arteta was right to say we've got to use this defeat as fuel to fire up the rest of the season. We've got 2 months left. We're in 3 competitions. They're all more important than the League Cup. Let's be honest about that. We'd rather win the FA Cup than the League Cup. We'd rather win the Champions League than the FA Cup. And the absolute priority, I think, for 98% of the Arsenal fan base is that we win the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. And we are 9 points clear. We can afford to lose at City. We can afford to lose another game. And with the goal difference, we'd still be champions. Yeah. But if these guys go back to the training camp, they've got a few days off now, which is, I think, a good thing. But if they go back with the wrong attitude, that, we're not winners, we can't do it, if they go back a little bit paralysed, then City could catch us. City was to be under no illusion, Arsenal fans. Guardiola will have that City team absolutely up and pumping that they can still win the league. And what I want to see, I look at the players yesterday, and I'm interested in what you guys think, because whenever I watch Ray or Emmanuel, right, I never saw less than 110% commitment. I don't think you could say that about all the Arsenal players yesterday, whether that's tiredness, whether it's freezing on the big stage, lack of experience in finals, I don't know what it was, but we need more players, to me, like Declan Rice and Gabriel and Saliba yesterday, who were both superb. We need more players with that fire in their bellies and the ferocity that is going to drive us to win titles. And too many yesterday went missing. Now, why they went missing is for them and their conscience and their coach, but we cannot afford to do that in the remaining league games.
Just a quick one. It's been a disappointing, obviously, result for you yesterday. Piers, was the blow softened anyway? What happened in North London, mate?
Well, it was funny being I was in the Bobby Moore suite at Wembley, and every time Forest scored, a massive cheer went up in the Bobby Moore suite. I don't think I've ever seen Arsenal fans cheering a rival team goals more than we did. And when they won 3-0, there was like almost a standing ovation in the Bobby Moore suite. So yeah, look, it would obviously, my dream of the quintuple has sadly crumbled. We can now only win the quadruple: Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, and Spurs going down. And that is still on, Arsenal fans. So let us rally together. Let us rally, go forward and win. Remember the words of Winston Churchill: let us go forward together. Never give in. We will prevail.
I never short a word or two, but comparing yourself with Winston Churchill, that's a new one for me, Piers. Take care, mate.
Well done, Piers.
Have a good week.
All the best, guys.
Yeah.
He should be on a pitch.
Yeah, we need him in central midfield.
Yeah.
9:16. We're going to take a wee break. See you shortly.